So we're here with Richard Epcar and Ellyn Stern, whose voices you will recognize from everything ever.
Yes.
Like, what haven't you guys been in between the two of you? Like, what would you like to do that you haven't
I
done?
don't know, we've been in everything, so.
No.
We're like the Johnny Cash of games and anime and animation.
We started over 30 years ago, so we started before anime even had a name,
Wow.
you know. It was the other animation.
Yeah, Japanese animation, that's what we call it.
So out of all the characters you've played, is there one that has really stuck out that you kind of want to explore further and revisit?
Well, one of my most famous characters is this guy, Bato in Ghost in the Shell, and I love this character, and I would love to revisit him and do more with him. But I've done over 400 different characters in games and animation and anime, and I do a lot of games right now. I'm Raiden in Mortal Kombat, and I'm Ansem in Kingdom Hearts, and the Joker in several Batman games, on and on and on. So, Transformers, Star Wars, Resident Evil,
So
Final Fantasy.
Have you forgotten any?
Yes, most of them.
Now, Ellyn, the thing that fascinated me most about your resume is you're doing Star Wars in Navajo.
Yes.
That sounds amazing. Tell me more about that.
Well, the thing is that, of course, I do not speak Navajo. I learned a handful of words. I was blessed to be a part of this project. Basically, during the 1860s, the American government wanted to kill all the Native American Indians. And instead, they decided to gentrify them. So they took all the children out of their homes and put them in native schools. And so what happened was for the next 4 to 7 years, the children were raised without their families. And if they tried to speak a word of their Native American language, or if they tried to refer to their own culture, their mouths were soaked. And they came home without a culture, without a language, without an identity. So Star Wars was the creation of the director of the Navajo Museum, who decided that this was the way to try and rediscover and inspire the people of the Navajo Reservation to try and relearn their language and connect the elders who only spoke Navajo with the young people who spoke not a word.
It sounds beautiful. How do you get involved with that when you don't speak Navajo?
Well, basically, we were hired. Richard wrote the adaptation, and then I was hired to direct it. So I spent a few weeks on the reservation, and I learned about the people, about the customs, about the ways. The most gentle, beautiful, gorgeous people. And when you look at what has happened to them, it's so cruel. And no group of people, no religion, no culture, no language, no civilization should ever be suppressed. Ever, 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 ever. It's just the most horrible thing. Nobody should ever be suppressed, whether they're gay, they're straight, whatever their identity is, whatever the color of their skin is, whatever their religion is.
Are you planning on doing more Native American languages for other things?
Well, I do hope.
As well, Richard.
I do hope that I will be invited back, as they get more projects, because that is their goal, to do more projects. And I know they were very happy with it, so.
Well, that would be wonderful. It'd be great to do it with some Australian Aboriginal languages.
Oh, I would love to do that. I would love to do that. I mean, this was totally out of left field, but actually, Richard had gotten the project, and he was busy, so he said, and I was going, I want to do it, I want to do it. And then I ended up taking the project, and they said at the end, you were the perfect person to do it because my heart was just so invested.
How can non-Navajo people see it?
You know, you can go to Amazon
I just
and
thought
see
Amazon.
it.
That's
It's
awesome.
Amazon.com, you know, and go to movies. It's Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, a Navajo dub. What is it? A Navajo? A Navajo dub.
Sounds wonderful. Speaking of dubs, changing subjects dramatically, is it hard to revoice a Japanese character in English? Like, is there a lot of expectation, a lot of pressure?
It's not hard for us. I mean, we've been doing this for over 30 years. I've done, like Richard, I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of characters. And I mean,
But in the
this
start,
is-
in the beginning?
No.
you know, it wasn't hard for us. It wasn't hard at all.
But it's tricky because you have to you know, hit the lip sync and make it fit and make it sound natural, and that's a trick. So you have to be good at it. And I find that people that have some sort of a musicality or a music background generally take to it pretty well because there's a rhythm to it. So if you can act and you have rhythm, you can pretty much do a good job on the dubbing. Now the dubbing is a lot more tough than original animation, but the original animation pays a lot better.
Interesting.
So yeah.
And probably doesn't have as much of a fan backlash waiting for you.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, they both have their big fan bases. It's, you know.
But the other thing about dubbing, about doing this sort of work, is, and one of the things that I'm a classically trained actress, and that totally comes into play when I'm working, because I treat this as with the same devotion, the same dedication, as if I'm doing a film, a TV show, or a stage play. And so you have to be able to build a character, because it's not just making a funny voice. You have to make a character that is real. And the only way that you can do this is with an acting background.
Definitely.
And so for people who want to do this sort of thing, it's more than just making funny voices. It's more than just saying, oh, well, I can sound like Richard Epcar, or I can sound like Ellyn. I've just been married to him for 33 years.
It's still new.
You
Yeah.
still can't get my name right.
It's been a long day. Or I can sound like Ellyn Stern. I mean, you don't want to sound like us. You don't want to sound like our characters. You don't want to sound like anybody else. You want to sound like who you are, and
Very
in
good
your
advice.
interpretation of what you believe the character should sound like.
That is wonderful advice, thank you. But now to go to something completely light. Given that I've just spent the last 2 days pretty much doing nothing but playing Mortal Kombat X,
Yeah.
who would win in a fight between Raiden and the Joker?
Raiden.
Definitely.
He beat Superman.
Well, yeah, but like, it's the Joker. He keeps
Raiden.
beating Batman. Okay.
Raiden.
Okay.
Raiden would kick his ass.
What would they talk about while they were kicking each other's asses?
Condos.
Condos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of condos.
Cool. Well, you heard it here first. Thank you very much, guys. That was wonderful.
You're very welcome. Thank you.